Picture this, a kid who got released from his boyhood club at 16, told he was too small, too weak, and wouldn't make it. Fast forward a few years, and that same reject is making Premier League defenders look like they're playing their first game of football. This is Jack Grealish, the player who went from being called too drunk to play professionally to becoming the most expensive British footballer of all time. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how this so-called dumb reject turned every single defender who faced him into a highlight reel victim. But here's what nobody talks about. Grealish didn't just beat defenders, he psychologically destroyed them, made them question if they even belonged on the same pitch. And the craziest part? He did it all while partying harder than any professional athlete should. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you see one of football's most controversial players.
Grealish, what one? That is a magnificent goal!
Terrific movement.
Let's rewind to 2009. Jack Grealish is just 14 years old, playing for Aston Villa's academy. But there's a problem. The coaches think he's too small, too lightweight. They're literally counting down the days until they can release him. One coach even told his parents he'll never make it at this level, maybe League 2 if he's lucky. Imagine being a kid and hearing that about your dreams. Most people would quit right there. But Jack? He had something those coaches couldn't see, something that would make him absolutely unplayable. See, while other kids were in the gym trying to bulk up, Grealish was doing something completely different. He was studying videos of Diego Maradona. Not Ronaldo, not Messi. Maradona. Why? Because Maradona was also told he was too small. And Maradona had this thing where he'd draw fouls like a magnet. Grealish realized something genius. If defenders can't touch you without fouling, your size doesn't matter. So he developed this insane ability to win free kicks. Not by diving, but by making defenders commit. He'd slow down the game, wait for them to lunge, then boom, he's past them or they've fouled him. By the time he was 17, he was winning more fouls than players twice his age. But that's when things got really interesting. In 2012, Grealish gets called up to Villa's first team for a friendly. The manager, Paul Lambert, puts him on as a substitute. Within 5 minutes, he's nutmegged 2 defenders and won 3 free kicks. Lambert's assistant turns to him and says, "What the hell have we been doing keeping this kid in the reserves?" But here's where it gets mental. Instead of promoting him immediately, Villa loan him out to Notts County, a League 1 side. They thought he needed to toughen up. Big mistake. Massive mistake. At Notts County, something clicked. Grealish wasn't just beating League 1 defenders, he was toying with them. There's this one game against MK Dons where he literally stopped mid-dribble, pointed where he was going to go, then still beat the defender exactly where he pointed. The defender Dean Lewington said after the game, "I've played against Premier League players who weren't that disrespectful. Kid's got something special." But special doesn't even describe what happened next. Grealish comes back to Villa, and in his Premier League debut against Manchester City, guess what happens? He comes on as a sub and immediately skins Pablo Zabaleta. Zabaleta, one of the best right-backs in the league at the time, just burned him like he was standing still. Zabaleta later admitted, "I didn't know who this kid was, but after 5 minutes, I was asking my teammates for help." Now, this is where most players would let it go to their head. But Grealish, he did the opposite. He started partying hard. There are pictures of him passed out in Tenerife, videos of him drunk in Birmingham at 4 a.m. The media called him unprofessional, a waste of talent. One pundit literally said on live TV, Jack Grealish will never fulfill his potential because he loves the nightlife more than football. Want to know the funny thing? The partying made him better. I'm dead serious. While other players were stressing about their diet, their sleep schedule, their recovery, Grealish was out until sunrise and still destroying defenders the next day. It gave him this confidence, this swagger that you can't teach. He'd show up to games probably still drunk from the night before and make experienced internationals look like amateurs. There's this legendary story from 2015. Villa are playing Liverpool. The night before, Grealish is spotted at a casino at 3 a.m. The coaching staff are furious. They're going to bench him, but 2 players get injured in warm-up, so they have no choice but to play him. What does he do? Only goes and runs the entire game. Beats Nathaniel Clyne so many times that Clyne gets substituted. Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool's manager, said after, "Whatever that kid's doing, it's working." But here's where the story takes a dark turn. In 2016, Villa get relegated. Grealish could leave. Every big club wants him. Chelsea, Tottenham, even Manchester United, but he does something nobody expects. He signs a new contract with Villa. In the Championship, people called him crazy. Sky Sports ran a segment titled, "Has Grealish Ruined His Career?" You know what he said? "I'm not done here yet." And then he went absolutely nuclear. In the championship, Grealish wasn't just good, he was playing a different sport. There's a stat that nobody talks about. In the 2018 to 2019 season, Grealish was fouled 167 times. 167. That's more than any player in Europe's top 5 leagues. Championship defenders were literally taking turns trying to kick him, and it still didn't work. If you're enjoying this story about how Grealish went from reject to record breaker, drop a comment with your favorite Grealish moment. I read every single one, and the best comment gets pinned. Now, here's where it gets absolutely insane. May 2019, Villa are in the playoff final against Derby. This is for promotion to the Premier League, worth about £200 million. The pressure is unreal. What does Grealish do the night before? Goes out. Of course he does, but not drinking. He goes to his local park where he used to play as a kid. Just sits there for hours. A fan recognizes him, asks what he's doing. Grealish says, "Tomorrow I'm going to score the goal that changes everything." Next day, Wembley Stadium, 59th minute. The ball falls to Grealish on the edge of the box. He doesn't even look, just hits it. Top corner, Derby's keeper, Kelle Roos, doesn't even move. Grealish runs to the Villa fans, and you can see him mouthing, I told you I'd do it." Villa win 2-1. They're back in the Premier League. And Grealish, he's about to embarrass every defender in England. The 2019 to 2020 season was supposed to be Villa's reality check. Pundits predicted they'd go straight back down, but they didn't account for one thing. Grealish had evolved. He wasn't just beating defenders anymore, he was reading their minds. There's this game against Manchester United where he megs Wan-Bissaka 3 times. 3 times! In one game, Wan-Bissaka, who's supposed to be this defensive specialist, looked like he'd never played football before. But the best part? Grealish started doing this thing where he'd tell defenders what he was going to do. He'd literally say, "I'm going to your left," then go left, and still beat them. Tyrone Mings, his own teammate, revealed this in an interview. He said Jack does it in training too. Tells you exactly where he's going. You still can't stop him. It's terrifying. Then came March 2020. Villa versus Leicester. This game changed everything. Grealish picks up the ball in his own half, beats one player, then another, then another. He's running at the defense, and you can see the fear in their eyes. He shoots from 25 yards, top corner, again. The goalkeeper doesn't even dive. After the game, Leicester's manager, Brendan Rodgers, says something that shocks everyone. He's the best player in the Premier League right now. Better than De Bruyne, better than Salah. The best. That's when Pep Guardiola started watching. Really watching. City scouts had been filing reports for months, all saying the same thing. This player is uncoachable. He doesn't follow tactical instructions. He parties too much. He's not a Guardiola player. But Pep saw something else. He saw a player who could do things that can't be taught. A player who could unlock defenses that parked the bus. A player who was so unpredictable that even his own teammates didn't know what he'd do next. Summer 2021. The transfer window that broke British football. Manchester City bid £100 million for Jack Grealish. £100 million. For a player who was released as a teenager for being too small. For a player who was called unprofessional. For a player who chose the championship over Chelsea. The same pundits who said he'd ruined his career were now calling him overpriced. He's not worth half that, they said. Want to know what Grealish did when he heard the criticism? He laughed. Actually laughed. In his first interview at City, someone asked if the price tag was pressure. He said, "Pressure? Mate, pressure was keeping Villa up with a team that cost less than my left boot. This is just football." His City debut, Community Shield versus Leicester, the same team whose manager called him the best in the league. Grealish comes on as a substitute. First touch, nutmeg. Second touch, wins a free kick. Third touch, assists the winning goal. The Etihad goes mental, but here's what the cameras didn't show. After the game, in the tunnel, 3 Leicester players asked for his shirt. 3. That never happens. But then came the criticism. He doesn't score enough. He doesn't assist enough. He's not worth the money. What these idiots didn't understand was that Grealish wasn't bought to score. He was bought to do something much more valuable, create chaos. Guardiola literally said in a press conference, "Jack does things that break the opponent's structure. That's worth more than goals." And the stats back it up. When Grealish plays, City's chance creation goes up by 37%. 37. He draws so many fouls that teams get tired just trying to kick him. There's a stat that in the 2021 to 2022 season, teams that played against Grealish averaged 2 more yellow cards than their season average. He's literally making opponents get themselves booked. But my favorite Grealish moment? It's not a goal. It's not an assist. It's from a game against Wolves in 2022. Grealish gets the ball on the left wing. The right back, Nelson Semedo, is in front of him. Grealish does 17 step-overs. 17. Doesn't go anywhere, just stands there doing step-overs. The crowd is counting. The referee is confused. Semedo doesn't know what to do. Then, on the 18th step-over, Grealish just passes it backwards and jogs away. The entire stadium erupted. Even the Wolves fans were laughing. That's not football. That's art. Here's what kills me though. People still call him overrated. They say he hasn't lived up to the price tag. These are the same people who think football is just about goals and assists. They don't understand that Grealish has revolutionized the game. He's shown that you don't need to be the fastest, the strongest, or even the most skilled. You just need to be the smartest. Every young player now studies Grealish. The way he protects the ball, the way he draws fouls, the way he slows the game down then explodes. There are kids in academies all over England trying to play like him. Coaches are teaching the Grealish turn. His influence on the game will last way longer than any trophy. And speaking of trophies, let's talk about what happened in 2023. Champions League final, Manchester City versus Inter Milan. The biggest game in club football, Grealish starts on the bench. People are saying Guardiola doesn't trust him for the big games. Then, 70th minute, City are winning 1-0, but Inter are pushing. Guardiola turns to Grealish. "Go and kill the game," he says. Grealish comes on. Within 2 minutes, he's won 3 fouls in Inter's half. The Italian defenders can't get near him without fouling. He's not just beating them physically, he's destroying them mentally. Every time he gets the ball, you can see them backing off, scared to dive in. The game ends 1-0. City win the Champions League. And Grealish? He only played 20 minutes, but was arguably the most important player on the pitch. After the game, Giorgio Chiellini, one of the greatest defenders ever, was asked about Grealish on Italian TV. You know what he said? "Thank God I retired before I had to face him every week. He's the type of player that makes you look stupid, and you can't do anything about it." That's Jack Grealish, the reject who became a record breaker, the party boy who became a champion, the player who was too small, too weak, too unprofessional, who ended up being too good for everyone else. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Grealish didn't change. Football changed for him. The game adapted to his style, not the other way around. He proved that being different isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. He proved that you can party until sunrise and still be world class. He proved that size, speed, and strength mean nothing if you've got intelligence and balls. So next time someone tells you Jack Grealish isn't worth £100 million, show them this. Show them how a rejected teenager became the most expensive British player ever. Show them how he made Premier League defenders look like children. Show them how he did it all while having more fun than any footballer in history. Because that's the real lesson here. Grealish didn't just beat the system, he laughed at it, partied through it, and still came out on top. And if that's not worth celebrating, then I don't know what is. If this story blew your mind, hit that subscribe button because I've got more insane football stories coming your way. Next week, I'm revealing how a player who couldn't even make his school team ended up winning the Ballon d'Or. You won't want to miss it. Until then, remember, sometimes the best players aren't the ones who follow the rules, they're the ones who break them.